Well, welcome back to the studio. I'm going to be working on this rock wall now here. And it's going to, nasturtiums are just going to be covering this, draping down. We saw some wonderful, wonderful nasturtiums at the Isabel Gardner Museum in Boston years and years ago. And those just have stuck in my mind. And so that's what I'm going to be painting over this rock wall. But first I have to get my wall in. So, and I showed you a picture of those nasturtiums in the very beginning. I showed you the full painting, and then I showed you the nasturtiums. But again, before we can paint the flowers, we have to paint our wall. We have to construct the wall that they're going to drape over. So these are mixtures of my mud, which is 2 parts of alizarin. No. I don't have any brain-mouth coordination. The mud is 2 parts of ultramarine blue plus 1 part of alizarin crimson. And then I've mixed in cadmium orange into that, and white, and extra ultramarine blue. So this is in shadow on this side. These are in shadow. My light is coming from the upper left. So let's just continue on. And I cover, you can see I'm going to have flowers here, so I don't really need much. I don't need to come down real far. But the parts of this wall that are toward the back I make bluer so that it recedes. And I put my paint up here pretty roughly with a lot of texture, because I'm going to use that texture to kind of give me the place where I want to put my rocks in the wall. I just realized I didn't have enough paint mixed up, so let me mix up a little bit of paint here. And I'm mixing myself a little bit more of my mud mixture. And that's 2 parts of ultramarine blue plus 1 part of alizarin crimson. And here's how I do that. Let me show you. Okay, you can see how I had squeezed my paint out of the tube with the 2 parts of ultramarine blue and the 1 part of alizarin crimson. My painting knife was pointing to that, and then I just mixed that up, and that's my mud mixture. I had painted the wall over here on the right hand side of this piece, and then took a little break and came back, and so I need to make a video, and started videoing, and then I realized I didn't have enough paint mixed, so plan ahead. But you can see how I'm using those thick brush strokes to just kind of determine where my crevices between the rocks go. And I don't outline the rocks. I just kind of impressionistically indicate those crevices. But you can see that blue just makes that back edge of the rocks go back. And some of those rocks come out a little bit in front of the others, so there'll be a little bit of a ledge on that catches some light. Now the rocks here are going to be a little more in light. Now underneath this wall is going to be topped out with a terracotta pavers or tiles. So these tiles make a shadow down here. And then I'm leaving, like I'm going to have flowers coming over right here, so I'm leaving that. I'll have a little light here. But that tile makes a little shadow on the wall here. So we've got light coming in here. And this part of the wall goes back, so I'm going to add some blues in here. a little bit more of my lighter rock color. And this wall, I showed you the full picture, or a picture of the full painting at the very beginning, and there's a rock wall back closer to the doorway. And I made that wall a little cooler or bluer than this foreground wall, because I want this one to come forward. Okay, got some light coming here, and this is going to have a shadow underneath that ledge, and then this is all going to be in shadow here from the flowers draping down. And we're going to bring a little blues back in here. I'm just going to go ahead and paint this whole wall. And as I go down, I'm going to get a little darker and a little bit cooler. Almost gotten too dark. I need to put out some white also. I'm just using a lot of paint on this wall. But I'm painting it very heavy. I want to give that rock texture, and so that when this painting is dry, I want you to just be able to run your hands over it and feel the rocks, feel that texture. Now this mixture, this lighter mixture I'm using, is that same mud plus cadmium orange, and I'm adding a little of cadmium yellow medium into it, just to make it a little more yellow ochre kind of a feel to it. I don't use those colors out of the tube, I just mix them. It's much easier. And you get a richness in that color, since I'm using the primary colors to take my mixtures, to make my mixtures. Okay. That's one of the secrets to this double primary palette that Jack developed for us. A lot of mixing, lots of mixing, and I clean my palette knife, I clean my brush. That's the secret to nice clean color on your canvas. Now this wall turns around, so as it goes into the depth of the wall, I'm just letting it get cooler down here. You want to get the feeling of that going down behind this foreground wall. Some of these walls, these walls are based on ones we've seen in Tuscany. Like this painting was totally developed around that doorway up at the top, which is from Mission San Juan Bautista in California. That's between Carmel and San Francisco. But so I've made up the rest of the composition. And so, but these walls are based on ones that we've seen in our travels. And in Tuscany, like San Gimignano, some of those hilltop villages, those walls go down a long way. Okay, now this is just, again, putting some color up here. I'm not real concerned about making rock shapes or anything. I just want to get a lot of color up there. But I want it to be lighter up here and then get a little darker as we go down. Darker and cooler. And this will be the lightest part right here. And here. Now I'm going to start bringing some of my shadows down from this bunch of nasturtiums. And I can just drag my shadows into that wet paint. As we come down there, get a little bluer. The further they get away from the object that's casting them, they become cooler and the edges become softer. There's also some nasturtiums here that are casting my shadows down. And we'll have some up there. Bring that shadow. Bring a little light into here. Come behind these nasturtiums that are coming over this wall. This surface is going to be a little bit darker than the shadow on this surface that's facing the light. And I'm just blocking this in right now. Now I'm going to start, let me get this covered. Shadows come down here from these. I'm going to bring some of my light here. Working wet, these walls wet into wet, I can keep edges soft. Now I need a little light right here on the front edge of this wall. It comes over the nasturtiums and hits that wall right there, and that light will then come behind these nasturtiums here. Now, this is mud plus liquid. And I just start making some of my crevices between the rocks. I decided I don't like that one. I'm going to use a little bit smaller brush right now. And this wall's turning around so that it's curving around, so our crevices are going to get a little bit closer together. Have to keep perspective in mind. And also the rocks will follow this top edge of the wall. And the wall just continues around. Actually, this needs to be about that level. And I just put some crevices here and there. Again, I'm not outlining each and every stone. I just want to give the feel of their rocks here. We want to feel that that wall is turning around. It's curving around, I guess is the proper word to use. Now some of these rocks, again, the top edge of those rocks, the wall is real rough, so some of those rocks kind of project out, and they'll even have a little darker along one edge. I want this not to be quite as light, a little cooler. In fact, I'm going to use some of my blue, ultramarine blue plus white back here, because I want that part of the wall to go back. These walls are really rough and rugged, and that's the feeling I want to have here. So it's just, paint's real thick and textured. here. It's a little bit lighter. And I want my shadows to be a little bit darker there. Those are going down. This is almost, I imagine that's going to be kind of covered over by nasturtiums, but let me, yeah, just drag over that. And I want to soften some of those crevices. And some of the rocks have kind of dents in them, and they're rough, very rough. Another little, bring a little darker blue down in there. Yeah, so that goes down. All right, so there's my rock wall. I may do a little bit more to it. I'll kind of get back and look at it in my mirror. I paint with a mirror behind me. Jack discovered this method from reading about Leonardo da Vinci, that he painted with a mirror behind him, because you can use that to critique your painting. You judge it and you look at it in the mirror. It reverses it in your brain from the inventive side of your brain to the analytical side, and you can really judge your painting. So I'm going to kind of judge it and see what else that I need to do. And I just really appreciate you watching my YouTube videos. I do hope you'll subscribe to my channel and visit my blog. I show the complete step-by-step process of this painting, as well as others that I do. The link is in the description below. The address is also on the final frame of my video. So you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and happy painting.